Hello and welcome to the Medbay podcast with Quantum Jump Medical. I'm Bob Harkin, and with me is our Starbound CEO, Mike Spector.
How's it going?
Pretty good. Do you like that? A little bit of a hint of future actions within the Quantum Jump Medical organization, but we'll get to that sometime in the future.
Yeah, probably in the next episode.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll go through all of that, but it's a little bit of a hit. So today we are excited to talk about CitizenCon because it is not that far away. It's coming up. We're excited. We can't wait to talk about what we expect, what we think is going to be talked about during CitizenCon this year, happening on October 19th and 20th. So yeah, we're excited. We got to be at CitizenCon last year, which was so awesome, and have our booth and everything. We'll be excitedly watching from the sidelines this year, but we can't wait to see what they're going to show off and to the future. We know that 1.0, the road to 1.0, I suppose, is what they may gather it as, but we'll be talking about what's coming after 4.0.
Yeah, so this year's CitizenCon is primarily 4.1 and onward, with 4.0 still on track for later this year. It's basically what's next. What are we going to get after that? And I had a realization a while ago, and I want to see if you have the same realization. 4.0 has been such a big thing, ever since like 3.0. They said, hey, next is going to be 4.0. And we were used to, like, instead of .4, it was the next big patch.
Right.
And now we're here at 3.24.
Yeah.
24 patches since. So it's been years since we've been waiting for 4.0.
Right.
I have no idea what's next.
Yeah.
I like 4.0 is just like such a big monumental milestone, not so much for just like Star Citizen, but like just for everything, to where I don't know what's next. I mean,
Right.
we can hint, obviously more systems and other stuff that we've seen hints of, but like, what is 4.1? What's going to be in 4.1?
Yeah. Yeah, like you say, each of the big numbers have been a major milestone, a major pillar of the game, and this was 4.0 is going to be server meshing. Yeah, what is after that? What's the next big thing, or is it just 1.0 is when everything comes out and when they get to a point where they can call it the game or whatever? But yeah, it's like I say, it's very hard to predict now that we're kind of in this unknown territory. And I mean, I started in the middle of 3.0, 3 dot something, and so I've only seen that since then. And then it's been that long, slow trek towards server meshing. So it's interesting to be on this precipice. Like you said, they're still shooting for the end of the year, which I think is doable. I think we may get it in
easily
just
doable.
you, but
it's so doable. Like, look at all the tests that we've had, and they can do it. I understand a lot of stuff is coming with CitizenCon and IEE. Which is why they're posting for probably after IAE, which is probably the smart idea.
Well, and I just saw there was a thing they were talking about. One of the devs said that 24.2 is actually going to be a branch of 4.0 minus the stuff that's like specific to server meshing, and then
minus the 4.0.
Yeah, minus the 4.0, but like it's actually a branch of that. So they're already going to be setting that up, so it'll be even easier than like what I thought would be. They would just, or the way it normally works is they hold a branch, they have the 3.24 branch, and then everything underneath that is on that same branch, but they're actually combining 24 and 4.0.2 into
which
the
is
same
smart
stuff. Yeah, it's just laying the foundation, the framework to get to that point, and that's less work that they have to do in the future to get those mesh together and figure that all out. They can focus on server meshing and Pyro instead of having to do, well, we have to have all this branch and we have to have the MFDs and we have to have all this other stuff in there. They've already kind of laid that down. So
Yeah, the .2 patch has the new MFDs, all the new models for the ships, or at least most of them. They have like the fuses and engineering
Yeah, all the ones that are going
framework
to
set up
have.
on them. Yeah, so like that's a big thing. They are pulling the Zeus's out of 4.0 and they're putting in there
Yeah,
tattoos, piercings, the new hairstyles, faces. Like there's so much stuff, and like .2 patch is almost like a 3.25
yeah, yeah. They just don't want to call it that, since they said we
because
promise
they
there
got a
won't be
lot of
another one.
for 3.24.
Yeah, they don't want to get blamed again for skipping a number because they kind of did that with 24 even. But
Yeah, a
yeah,
lot of good stuff coming. 4.0 is I'm so excited for 4.0. Like honestly, as cool as like IO is, I'm more excited for the engineering.
yeah, I'm definitely excited to play around with it. And obviously, we've talked about that on the podcast before. Us jumping in and figuring it out. I mean, basically, the last podcast was when engineering first came out, so we've definitely played around with it
Yeah,
and figured a little more of the opportunities out. Obviously, it's not fully implemented yet. There's definitely some exciting things that we've seen coming up with the engineering, the MFD thing, engineering console, and all that stuff, and then obviously firefighting, which we've talked about, and all the other things that tie in with that. And I guess actually, since I mean we talked about it a little bit, but they have done talked about a few more details about what life support is actually going to look like, which is kind of exciting. It's still, I don't think it's still the full implementation. It looks like it's they're bringing in the component for life support finally, which they hadn't
yeah,
we haven't seen yet because it's not they haven't ever actually physicalized it yet, but they're bringing that in. And then it'll have some of that, like you can decompress the cargo compartment and that kind of thing. See how it all kind of plays out and plays together and looks what it looks like when it actually does fully come in.
yeah. It's definitely going to be a lot of fun and really big and expansive. More than I initially thought for their first iteration of it. I just thought we'll be playing with fuses mainly.
Yeah,
But again, like we have fire, we have resource management with your components now. You know, the components are getting a full rework and stuff like that. So it's gonna be a whole new game.
yeah. It's also interesting. There was one thing they specifically talked about was not a certain size of like power plant and stuff you won't be able to remove, which I mean is kind of obvious if you go into any of those ships that have the size 3 power plants, because a lot of them were not designed around being able to remove them. But they said you'd still be able to fix them. There's a lot of, or I've seen a lot of talk where the idea would be to, if they could make smaller components that go together to make a large, like that size of a power plant. So like it's split up into thirds or however they would do it. They'd make them thirds or quarters where you could pull that size, that part of the power plant out. I also think it'd just be
Yeah.
kind of
So
cool.
instead of like a size 3, it'll be like 4 size 2s.
Yeah. You kind of like,
That'd be
you can
cool.
either build it up or you can like swap components around to kind of fill in certain gaps and make it kind of modular where you can, like, this part is more advantageous in this specific place. This part goes better here and gives you a boost in something else, as opposed to like having that full function. And they've talked about it a little bit in the past where the subcomponents, they've talked about subcomponents in the past. They kind of went a different way when they went to the relays and stuff, but they could kind of bring it back. I also think it'd be kind of cool. Obviously, they said you can't pull those out with the like tractor beams and stuff, but I think it'd be cool if they could figure out a way to like in Star Trek where they dump the core, like just shoot it out the bottom of the ship and it explodes off behind you in space and you troll away on impulse engines. I think that would be a neat thing too, but then they'd probably have to rework a lot of the way the engine bays and stuff are set up. They're always pretty close to the outside of the ship. You'd think it wouldn't be that hard to, although it's probably pretty similar to the escape pods, which we've had discussions about before, whether some of them are actually able to eject.
I just thought of something just now. Between our podcast episodes, we got a new tool, the Atlas. What if the left hand, because it doesn't have any functionality, you could just walk up and pull out that size 3?
I mean, that would definitely be nice if it had that that functionality.
Like an engineering mech suit thing that you need to remove the larger components.
Right.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Although they'd have to redesign some of them to, like they'd have to move the railings and stuff on like the reclaimer. Like there's a railing that blocks. It's like right next to the engine or the power plant, and they'd have to redesign some of that stuff. I was thinking about that. It was like right after they were talking about removing components and stuff, and I went into the reclaimer, into the engine room, and I was like, yeah, the way the railing goes, it's like just the size of the person, but there's no way you'd be able to pull that component out. I'm like, yeah, this is not going to work. But if they just do the repair thing, yeah. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of them. Well, even some of the stuff in the Carrack, that ladder in the back of the engineering room blocks a couple things. It's like, you'd either have to retract the ladder or like move it to the side or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that they can do. I like the idea of size 2 being able to be replaced, but size 3 not. And that does kind of come into the ship updates that they did. Mm-hmm. You know, look at the Redeemer. You know, it actually is losing its size 3 shields.
Yeah.
And making it a little bit more useless. But it has size 2 shields now, so if shields go out, you have that like little 2 SCU storage thing, just stack a couple extra shields there and just keep going.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a lot more functionality that will get, and a lot more, you'll be able to get out of a bad situation a lot easier going forward. There's getting rid of that kind of, there will probably still be opportunities to go into a hard death situation, but it's going to be a lot less common. You'll be able to, if you have the foresight to have those extra shields or engines or whatever, you'll be able to swap those out, and you'll be able to get out of there while your opponent is still trying to fix their ship, and if they got knocked out, or they'll have to call for reinforcements while you're quantuming away and not worrying about it. Yeah, it gives a lot more depth to those encounters, that because they can't just, like, even like pirates can't just like full kill you and then just waltz onto your ship. They have to worry about, like, oh, did they prepare enough, and they're just lying in wait for us to start up the ship again once we get out of our ship. Like they're EVAing across to go take over the ship, and didn't leave anybody in your ship, and now all of a sudden they're taking off, or they're knocking you out, or shooting back at you just because they were prepared. It gives a little more depth to those kind of things. And some things we've talked about is just having that logistics department and knowing what you need to pack and what you need to have extras of, and being efficient at that, and having that engineer that can make those decisions.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's going to make the biggest differences in a fight, is who's more prepared.
One, and talking about the size of components and the threes not being able to take those out. Yes, from a gameplay standpoint, it's like kind of a bummer, but at the same time, it makes sense in the, like, if you think about a real ship, you're not just pulling components out like that. You've got to go back to dry dock or whatever to get that repaired. And yeah, the engineer can put some duct tape on it to keep it running for now, but it really does make sense that you'd have to keep it just above functioning to get back to where you need to go.
I mean, realistically speaking, whoever packs the material to repair your components is going to win the fight.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because even if like I packed the materials to repair my components, and Bob packed extra components, I can just walk over, boop, get it up to 10% on each component, and then fly off while he's still pulling a part out and putting a new one in.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I don't need it to be at 100%. I just need enough to get out and leave.
Right.
And then worry about it later. I mean, like, having extra components is something that you do want to think about with certain ships, especially carriers. So, for instance, the Normandy, my Polaris, will have extra components for the ships that I'm going to carry inside, but I don't really care much about the Polaris's parts because they're going to be too big. They're just going to repair those. But, you know, like, my fighter that's going to be on the top can land in, and you can strip all the parts out and put fresh parts in, and then send it off. It gets basically, you know, two go arounds before it's out.
Yeah, I think that's I think a lot of people with especially with the fighters, aren't really thinking about them being parasites to a bigger ship. Like that to me makes the most sense. Like, yeah, maybe you have a base on a planet and you just fly up and target people coming into the area of that planet. But if you're going out on long range missions, you're not hopping from station to station. You're launching off of a carrier somehow, and that's how like the Navy works with their airplanes. Like they fly out and come back, and then they have a whole engineering team that works on them while they're on the ship, and then they go out again on the next mission. It's not like the pilots doing all that work themselves. They may help tune it and stuff, but they have a whole logistics team behind them, and that engineer on the ship is actually going to be the one that's on the bigger ship is going to be the one that's actually topping up the components and swapping them out if they need be. Like you're not doing, like people are so worried about, well, how am I going to fix my stuff if in a one-seater? Well, that's not the point. You don't fix your stuff in a one-seater. You fly back to your base or you fly back to your carrier and you fix it up there.
Yeah, like if you're in space or you even land on the planetary surface, having just enough material to repair your ship to get it moving again is smart. Even if you don't get your shields or weapons and all that up, if you can get your power plant and engines going, that's all you need, because that's get you from wherever you're stranded out in space or crashed on a planet to a station to get fixed. You just need your roll of duct tape. You're not souping up your ship to go out for another fight. You're down. You need to limp back to where you are. But if you don't have any of that, feel free to use Quantum Jump Medical Services, and we will come get you for you.
Absolutely, we'll be there. We're just a jump away.
Just a jump away.
So I obviously engineering is pretty important to us, and I think it is a big part of the future, and hopefully they do talk about it during CitizenCon. I think they'll probably show off some stuff that's going to be coming out in the near future with that. But what are you thinking in general, or what's your top things that you think they're going to be talking about coming up with this next CitizenCon? And like you say, looking to the future, looking after server meshing, after 4.0.
Only two things come to my mind because they said that this year is going to be bigger than last year. Last year was already huge, but only two things that in my mind, and I think you would fully agree with me on this one. Number one, a Squadron 42 release date.
100%.
Even if it's not for 2025, even if it's a 2026 release, a release date. We will get a date. Hey, it's coming this day. That's the only thing that I can think of that's going to be really big there. Yeah. And will be really cool to finally have.
Right. Now we were really hoping it was going to be last year while we were there, but it didn't happen for us.
But even the announcement of feature complete was huge.
I think that really locked it in for people in their minds that it's happening.
Yeah, I mean that's all the assets like complete, and I think what we're going to see primarily this next year, 2025, is not so much a lot of new systems per se, but a lot of Squadron 42 systems being
moved over. Added. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So that way, when you play the single player campaign, which is why I don't think it's going to come next year. I don't think it's coming next year. Wow. I think it's going to be 2026. But you'll be used to all the new gameplay features and the PUs to play the single player to go. That's what I'm saying.
That's interesting to me. I guess I would have assumed it was 2025.
The second big thing, it might be at the end of 2025 at the earliest.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a 2026 Q2 release. That's going to be my prediction right now.
Okay.
Is 2026 Q2. And 2025 is going to be adding all of these systems from there, so when you play the single player campaign, you're playing the same game.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what they plan.
Yeah, I think that's a big part that they want to get parity. So, like, Squadron 42 is the training simulator for the PU, basically, for Star Citizen. They want that, like,
and for
very
us,
easy crossover.
Yeah, for us who have been playing the PU, the PUs are training for the single player.
Yeah.
It's a back and forth.
Right.
So that's my prediction for Squadron 42, 2026 quarter two. The second biggest thing, and the thing that I think 90% of Quantum Jump Medical is excited about, base building.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna get that. I'm gonna say quarter three.
Yeah, base building was at the top of my list as well. Like that, I think they're gonna cover it in depth because they teased it last year. They had actually they didn't have a lot of details of what it actually looked like, but they did have a lot of like, this is what we want it to look like in the long. Like the thing I keep asking for in general is like, what is the like goal of that feature? And I think they really did that well. Like I say, they didn't get into the nitty gritty of like, this is what this module is going to look like. This is what this module is going to look like. I think maybe they will get more into that. They may get into more of like, these are the specific ships, or we're adding the Atlas platform one that we've been talking about, that base builder, the ground vehicle base builder. Talk a little bit more about how the galaxies, how the galaxy is going to be a base builder, a medium builder, or whatever.
Yeah.
I think they'll get more in detail about that, how that's going to work, how you're going to be able to use those different styles that they've talked about in the past, where it's like we have the now we have the Stanton style and the Pyro style, but they'll kind of I think they'll get more into detail about how we choose that and how we design it to look how we want, and be able to customize it more to our style. So I think they'll definitely get more in-depth in base building, I feel, because they've had that year. They kind of said they were going to be starting in January and building out base building. So I think that, like you say, that is going to be a big topic during Star Citizen CitizenCon.
Yeah, one thing I kind of wish for base building, and I wish it was more like this, is there were prefab rooms, per se, and you can Lego them together. Like, oh, I have a habitation room, and different types of habitation rooms, and then you can have a main room with like 8 doors and an elevator shaft on one side. So you can have the elevator going straight down on there, and then those 8 doors, you can attach other components too. So like you could have a bathroom, or you could put all habitation modules on it, and you could really like Lego build these up. I think that would be so good.
Well, I think as much as I wasn't really a fan of the way that Starbound did it, I think now they've kind of reimagined it, and like you can do more customizable things with it. But I think that using that as a core, like you say, like pick the center module and then build around it and build what's even inside of that. I think it would be a great way to do that, and then you can just attach, and like that does make sense. And even from the like early Pioneer stuff, like they kind of showed it being that way a little bit, like where they kind of attach things. They were just putting it on top of each other, but I think it does make sense to have that ability to kind of figure out what's going to be on the what's the next room over, or what's, like you say, the elevator shaft or the ladder or stairs or whatever kind of thing. I think it does make sense to be modular like that, and I think they do need to take cues from other games. Like No Man's Sky has pretty good base building. Like it's not as customizable as I think I would want, but Star Citizen to be, but it is a good base for how to start building, and then there's a lot of components that you can put inside of that. And
like the big thing for me,
Subnautica is a good base builder.
But the big thing for me is like for base building is, and we're still going to do a whole episode on base building. Don't worry. But the big thing for me is our hospital idea, just like everything Quantum Jump has ever done, is very ambitious. We really try to push the limit of what we are capable of doing, and the base, the hospital, the Constellation Hospital is no exception. It has a full-fledged medical facility, habitation zones for our members, a training area, storage, manufacturing, and even like a small like area for patients, like a little like hotel type thing for patients or other people to like, hey, I just need to, a place to go for a bit, supplies and everything like that. Like everything that all that's going to be in our location and stuff like that. We really have to like focus on what we need to do and what we want to do. Like habitation for our members is great, but if in the future we have tons and tons of members, just having like little houses dotted around isn't going to work anymore. We need to go vertical. So the ability for us to just go vertical day one is going to be big. Have more than what we need so we don't have to worry. And that goes for like our storage warehouses, our ship warehouses, the hospital itself, and all sorts of stuff like that.
Yeah, like you say, we've got those plans and starting off on the right foot in general, like with what they allow us to do is going to be kind of paramount. Like I think that's what everybody wants. We want like a well thought out, detailed version of base building. We want to be able to build these cool things and then think to the future, be able to expand or be able to think about how it looks as we grow as an org and how the game grows, like being able to kind of put that all together and figure out those pieces. And if they add a new thing, we can just slot that in where we need to and figure that out from there. Like, I think that's what we want. Obviously, we're very excited. And like you say, we want to do a whole episode about base building because it's such a cool idea and feature and really goes to what we want the org to be and implement. It's a big part of what we're excited for the future. So we definitely want to hear about it and hear all the cool things that we'll be able to do with it, and then see where our ideas and their ideas cross over.
It definitely will be interesting to say the least. But yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to hear more about base building. Every now and then I will go back and rewatch that whole base building segment from last year's CitizenCon.
It's like, and the next big thing that they're going to talk about, like obviously we want to hear a lot about base building, but what else do you think they're going to talk about?
One thing that I do believe that they are going to talk about, and this was because I went to a couple Bar Citizens this year and I was talking to some of the devs and some other people and getting some ideas. And from what I've seen on Twitter as well, this works out, is they were talking about on Arena Commander an FPS wave defense or wave attack game mode with the Vandal. So we will be fighting aliens, the actual aliens.
Right.
And an Arena Commander. Well, why wouldn't they just add those to the PU as well? So potentially aliens.
Well, and that actually does go aliens, man. That actually does go. There was a dev that just posted on Twitter a couple days ago from when we're recording this that he was excited to talk about what he's been working on, and he showed that Vandal when we saw this thing before, but when they were coming out of that doorway. So I think you are right. That's definitely something they are going to talk about, because if they allowed a dev to talk about it, there's definitely going to be a big part of the thing. It wasn't just a leak or anything. Like, he actually posted on his official Twitter and stuff. So
exactly. Like, I definitely think some way, somehow, some form of Vandal aliens will be in the game. Like I said, more likely going to be Arena Commander stuff only, but they can also figure out something. And like, maybe if you go to a bunker, maybe it's just Vandal instead of Ninetales,
Yeah, they found the jump gate too.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Transient gate. Yeah, I mean, sooner or later we're going to get to the point where we're at those star systems that we're going to be fighting, and there will be missions where we have to go take out the Vandal or whatever, or protect against it or whatever it is. There will be missions that have that, so it makes sense that they, and especially if they are getting that stuff done in Squadron 42, it does make sense that they would start incorporating that. And like you said, over the next year or so, or more, or a couple years on our road to 1.0, they'll start implementing more of those features and more of those missions and more of those assets that they've put together from Squadron 42. So yeah, I mean, and it's exciting to see because we've had all the human enemies, but we really haven't been introduced to the aliens that so much talk about. And I mean, it'd be nice to start seeing even the friendly aliens that we know are out there, especially with the Banu, with everybody's favorite ship to talk about that they've kind of forgotten about, the Merchantman, which neither of us are very excited about, but it's the big thing out there. But the especially with the race of aliens that it's based on, it'd be nice to start seeing those. And even in, like, it'd be cool if there were like the Banu consulate at Area 18 or something like that, or you can go and talk to them or whatever and get missions from them. I mean, that'd be kind of cool.
Now, what I think would be really cool, you talk about talking to them, is I don't know how they can do this, but I'm sure they can do this somehow, is on the website, maybe there's a test that you can take, right? Because they have the full Banu language that you can learn and stuff. And you take this test, and if you pass it, your character in game can understand the Banu. But if you don't take the test, you don't pass it, and you go up to the Banu, like, and you're just like, I don't know, and you can't do anything. You can't get missions, you can't. I think that would be something pretty cool that they could do. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, it'd definitely be interesting to, like you say, tie in the fact that we have the ability to look at the entire language. Like, I remember them talking about it, like having somebody does that. That's like they make languages and stuff, and coming in and building that out. So it's cool that they have it there, but like you say, we haven't really done much with it. It'd be nice to be able to tie that in and have those benefits. Like, and even maybe it's like you take the test and you're very, very good with them, but then maybe if you don't take the test, you like have a crappy universal language thing, but it doesn't really translate very well, and you get bits and pieces, so they don't give you as good of jobs because you can't understand them.
Yeah, and maybe you could do like missions in game and get like a translator. It's like there's another way to do it, but you have to get to that translator to do it. But if you just took the test, you could just skip the translator section.
Learn the Gek language.
Yeah, right. Pull up your Moby Glass and pull up Google Translate.
Kind of cool, but yeah, definitely, it'll be nice to see, and hopefully there's some FPS missions with the Vanduul in Arena Commander going along with that, because we've fought them in space before, but it'll be nice to actually fight against them on the ground and stuff, and hopefully there'll be a bunch of more maps and stuff.
So another thing, and this is going to be way out there in left field, Bob, another thing that they're going to talk about is CitizenCon, and it's something that we recently talked about, just playing with the group, that I don't think people are ready for, but I'm gonna say AI crew. I think we're gonna learn a little bit about AI crew. Now, here is why I am predicting AI crew. CIG has a new senior principal for AI designer.
I did see that
they just hired Brian Cannery and Cannery.
There was one interesting thing I thought about that, though, when I was looking at his credentials. It's all mission based. Like, he was.
It is all mission based.
Mission maker for some big games and stuff. So it's interesting that they would move him to AI when he had a lot of mission experience.
But I think we're going to see. I don't know how in depth they're going to get. It could just be like, hey, they might do what they did with base building last year, starting development quarter one. This is going to be the starting development quarter one thing. AI crew. No intentional design release, but they are going to start working on it.
Here's this next year of what it looks like and what we want to do. Here's AI crew.
I think we're going to get something AI crew related.
So I had another thought about AI crew not too long ago. I can't remember what somebody said, and I don't think it was even had anything to do with the game, but it got me thinking about, we're all assuming that the like NPC crew is going to be like actual people, like humanoids. I was thinking like it maybe make more sense. I don't know if it'd be easier or harder or the same, but like having like droids, like having R2-D2 running around fixing components on your ship might be a little easier, and then they could just like, they don't have to interact directly with the components, but they can like plug into the console underneath and like fake some things. Like, it'd be a lot easier for them to like fake a little bit of it, but that to me made more sense, like having bots and stuff that could maneuver, like they could follow the spaces easier. They don't have to walk. They don't have to have like those animations of walking and stuff, but like having some little droid that can, they can't call it a droid because that's copyright, but driving around your ship.
Is that really?
Yeah, it's Star Wars owns the name Droid. So anytime like Android called it Droid, they had to pay royalties to Star Wars, to George Lucas.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's an interesting take. I never thought about.
I hadn't thought
R2.
about it until just like it was just something somebody said that like they were talking about Star Wars or something, and I was like, huh. I wonder that would make a lot of, I think they were talking about like ships dropping out a droid from the back of your single seater or whatever, like they do with the X-Wings and stuff. But then I was thinking that'd be a great way to do like the NPC crew or the AI crew or whatever you want to call it, but just having droids and like they just fit in the turrets a little bit differently. And yeah, to me that made sense to like have a little bot going around.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I never thought of a droid. I mean, for me personally, I would rather have a human.
Yeah, and I think most people would. But
and maybe they can have both. You know, maybe like the droid is more expensive to run, but is more like efficient.
Well, and
because it doesn't need to eat, it doesn't need to take breaks or
real expensive to get a droid, but it's only a one-time fee. But the NPCs to hire them, it's like real cheap, but you have to pay them on an ongoing basis. So that
if in that case, I'll probably have like a droid for engineering and then some people for like turrets.
You can definitely see the droids running around the engine room and stuff. And like I said, they wouldn't have to directly plug into, they wouldn't have to touch the components. They would just be able to plug into a console or whatever and do the operations easier. I don't know. It was just like I said, it was just a thought that I had the other day, like just recently. And I thought, that's kind of a cool idea. I don't know how that would work. It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, interesting. I didn't think about that. Other than that, it's just gonna be the typical, here's a couple ships. So I can really think of off the top of my head. Obviously, they're gonna have some more stuff about, a custom character. I would like your body to be part of that. Because like right now we still have that issue where your skin tone on your head doesn't match your body. Because your body is just, everyone has the same body. And
when you put a helmet on, it changes everything to the default character.
So I want to see some updates on that. Oh, wow, my brain just went blank. I had the idea and specialized armors. I think we're going to see some more of those.
I know we talked a lot about that before, and I definitely want to see that, getting more of those specializations, because we really only have the one right now. We have the combat. Well, it's not even the armor. It's just the helmet. So we're not even at a full armor set. But yeah, getting those specializations in.
And I said it before and I'll say it again. And this is what I want from custom armor is I would love one is if you could just buy armor, and it's just blank, no color, just blank. And you can customize it. You get your primary color, secondary accents, and then a pattern. And you can choose the pattern color.
And then you can save it and export it and share it with other people.
Exactly. That would be number one. Number two, for the specializations, you buy your armor, you customize it. There's nothing. It's just basic armor. But on your armor, there will be augment slots. And you can add the augments that you want to the armor that you like and not force us to wear. Our armor will change when they add more specialized armor, especially for medical. But if we don't like it all, we only like certain parts, it's going to be really hard to mesh it all together very well. It would be cool if we just had a set of armor and we can, change the colors, do all this, do all that. And then, hey, I want the medical module on mine. Maybe Grey-Ghost wants the FPS module on his. I want the extended EVA booster pack and the mag boots on my boots and the pouches on my legs to carry more.
That makes way more sense. And especially we like to differentiate ourselves from other orgs in the same genre. And it'd be nice if we can customize that to our look and our liking. I think that would be most important. We don't want to all look exactly the same, and I hope they don't railroad us into that. Even combat, you don't want everybody looking the exact same in combat, because you want to be able to differentiate you friendly versus foe, and not only the facial customization of your character. People like their armor to look different, or at least look different from other groups and stuff. So I definitely hope that they they take that into consideration and do offer modularity and customizability. Like you say, I do love that idea of the components on the helmet or on the legs or whatever, where you can swap that out and use the ones that you like, the look that you like, but be able to use the functionality that you are going for. Because you guys always joke that I definitely look like the medic, but I have that look, and I would definitely want my functionality to be there with me when I do go into that.
Yeah, because that's how we've always noticed it's you. You're the one who has the most med vials on on your belt. But I think
it's my
the
standard.
ability for us to have our white and blue primary, and then we even have like a pattern where it's like a stripe down the arm, and we can color code that stripe depending on the person's rank. Even something like that small would be great. Or if we can have multiples, it'd be like instead of a stripe down the arm, it could be slashes on the arm, and you can have a multiples of those. If you have a red one, that means you're FPS certified, or orange one, you're logistics certified. So I can look at someone's armor and tell who it is, what they're certified in, and be done.
Yeah, just more customization would be great in general. And like you say, especially our armors, and it'd be nice if we could do eventually with ships and armor and stuff have org logos and stuff, or org emblems would be nice. Here's a specific spot on your ship that the emblem always goes, and it'd be easy enough to just pull straight from Spectrum. So as long as you set your emblem on Spectrum, it just can click over and you just set a button on the thing and say, I want the emblem on my ship or on my armor or whatever. I definitely hope that's a thing. And that kind of goes with one of the things I want to see at CitizenCon. Hopefully they talk more about org benefits and they briefly mentioned the MFD for orgs, the way they're going to tie Spectrum into the game, how that all plays together, how we can more effectively communicate as an org inside the game, how we can do that recruitment, set permissions, I think is going to be a big thing, because with the capital ships coming out, starting with the Polaris, that's going to be more of a need in the future, having those permissions for and they even talked about the engineer will be able to lock out the pilot from the engineering stuff. They'll be able to take more control or lock it to one panel or whatever. So having those permissions, you don't want just anybody to be able to walk up to the engineering panel and be able to lock everybody else out. But if you can make sure, I've heard some cool things, some cool ideas where it's the engineer, the captain or the owner or whatever, or the org leader hands out USB keys that have basically a tiger claw and says, all right, you're our head engineer. Here's the tiger claw that you plug in and allows you to do things. It's probably more likely that you would just give permissions to a specific gamer tag, but it'd be cool if it was more of a physicalized thing where and maybe it could get stolen. They board the ship, they take out the engineer, and now they've got the tiger claw that allows them to plug in and do all of the things. But it's more likely cool. he can protect it a little more too. All right, we got to protect the engineer when they're boarding. So you send a couple of your military guys and go protect him. So that'd be kind of adding a little bit of gameplay.
That'd be cool. I think even a mobi-glass app would be really good. You pull it up and you can see a list of everybody on the left and their name, whoever's on the ship, and then the blocks, and you just drag and get engineer, turret, CO, pilot, and just doing it that way.
I definitely think having that mobi-glass app is ideal. Well, and that is what it was. It wasn't an MFD that they were talking about. It was the mobi-glass app that they said they've started kind of working on. But having expanding out that functionality to where we do have those permissions and it's a little more integrated, because we do everything through Discord. We do check the org page and make sure that we're getting everybody integrated into the org, but then we transfer everybody over to the Discord. And there was another thing somebody was talking about, was having a communications app that if you're in game and you are chatting, I can just jump on my app on my phone and I can chat with you. Or if you need to ping the org, it'll send a push notification to the phone and say, hey, I really need your guys' help right now. I am in the middle of a battle and I need you to join up. It'll ping everybody that. I think that would be a cool thing to integrate somehow. I don't know how it would work, or how much they want to put into effort they want to put into that, but it'd be cool to have some sort of communication app with, or just like they could, again, tie it in with Spectrum, have a Spectrum app, but then have that like in-game crossover chat with your org.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, like somebody talked about the app, but then there was more to it that I kind of thought would be kind of cool to integrate. And again, it just is fleshing out what's the point of orgs, because a lot of people ask that right now, like what's the point of an org? And I think getting the stuff like, and it's a basic MMO feature, like guilds and clans and corporations. Like there's just some basic things that we just don't have yet. An org bank where you have money, items, org hangar where we can share ships. It's not necessarily that, I mean, maybe there's a thing where you give the ships to the org, but it also could just be I'm letting the org use this while I'm not using it. So there's different things there. And then I think communication is important. We either need a new chat thing where it is cross org, and I think that would be, I don't want to say easy to implement because I know dev is not easy. We've seen the back end of some games and stuff, and it's not easy, but that is already there. It should be easy to tie in because it's already there. Obviously, there's the UI and all the stuff that you have to think about when you're implementing it, but there are already those back ends should be able to tie in just to expand orgs a little more. And again, I hope that, and I think with the capital ships coming in and even base building, I think that org information is going to be super important on how that all works, and how if I'm landing at our base, like how does it know that I'm not the friend versus foe? How does the turret know not to shoot me down when I'm not in the party, or I'm not the leader is not online or whatever? Like how does it know not to shoot me down? So I think those are really important things. Yeah, absolutely. I think we've waited so long where they haven't really updated the orgs at all. I mean, we've taken it on ourselves and implemented some of those things, but it'd be nice if we didn't have to utilize our stuff, where we can just have it all in the game and it's there. We know it works, or we know where to send people. They don't have to pay a certain alt account or whatever and trying to figure out where that all went and all that stuff. Like can all just go to a central location, and again, we can set the permissions in the game and figure all that out, and like who has access and who can do what.
Yeah, like you said, the biggest thing is base building. You know, if I built a base and I'm not online, Bob needs to access something that he has at our base. Like how does it know that he's okay? You know, there needs to be a thing where like at the base there's a security terminal and you can go to it and you can set permissions. Like, okay, anybody who has Quantum Jump Medical as a listed org is clear. And then people who have, because like there's the 5 ranks on the RSI site. So anybody with the max rank has access to every single thing in the base. Everybody with tier 4 has everything but this. 3, everything but this and that.
And that's like it's been done a million times before. It's in every single MMO. There's always that like guild functionality and that the levels and access and all that stuff. I mean, I set it up in Guild Wars 2 and Star Trek Online. I mean, it's been in World of Warcraft forever. Like having that functionality to where and that leveling to what people have access to is just super common, and it's been done before, so they don't have to reinvent the wheel on it. And like you say, there's already the rank system set up to where we can just go in and delineate where those breakdowns are, who has access to what.
But it comes down to a weird thing of what if they have it redacted or hidden, right? What if they have the affiliation redacted or hidden, or it's not even their main affiliation? Like, does that change?
Yeah, I think your redacted ones, you'd have to not be redacted, I would think. Or unless
that would make sense, like unredact.
Yeah, your main rank it could maybe put you down like an extra level or something. Right? Yeah, I don't know how you'd work that out.
I mean, there's the type of things that make it hard.
And it could be like Eve has the alliances. So if we say this one's cool, but this one's not, you don't get those permissions from us. If your main org is one that we're not as cool with, like we're generally cool with most orgs and stuff, but if we say like, we this is one we're neutral with, we don't have like a good reputation with, It just won't give you those permissions, or it'll still see you as a friendly, but it won't, like when you go,
You don't
want
have
to go
access.
to, you don't have as much access or don't have access to stuff. I can see it working
Yeah,
like that.
I also could see them just like having the terminal, like you said, or like I said, like a terminal.
Yeah,
I just go in there and I type in the RSI handle, and then approve them and give them clearance based on that.
Moby class would work as well. Like there could be a combination, like you say, for the base,
Yeah.
you go and like give permissions or whatever, set the friendly stuff. But then for things like adding somebody to the org, I think could just be a Moby class thing. Like you're talking to somebody and they're
Yeah.
like, "Hey, your org looks pretty cool. We want to join you." I can just go, beep beep beep. All right, you're in the org.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that could be done with it, and a lot that I hope they talk about
Yeah, I just hope
at
they talk about it.
CitizenCon. Because, yeah, base building is going to be useless without the new iteration of org management.
Even
What I want is, like on our base, the hospital portion be open to anybody.
Yeah.
Whether somebody's there or not, they can go in and get healed and,
Right.
and get supplies from the shop and everything and leave. So long as they don't open fire. If they open fire, I want those turrets to wipe them off the face of the planet. They can come in, like anybody can land and get healed up, grab food, grab water from the shop or whatever, and leave. And then QGM members have access to the habitational areas, the training areas, and that. And then command has access to ATC tower, and there's so much stuff that can be done.
Yeah, there's definitely some cool thoughts and ideas that could go into it. And like you say, I just hope they do go over that, because obviously, I mean, the fact that they even brought it up as a Moby class app means they're looking into it and thinking about it. So hopefully they have something to talk about, and especially if they're going to start implementing base building and even engineering and all that stuff. Like I think that ties into the capital ship gameplay and multi crew especially. So I think they probably would talk more about multi crew and how that's gonna function. Like that would make sense to be a part of CitizenCon as well.
A lot of stuff that they can do, a lot of stuff they can add. I think those are the main things that I want to see.
I think one of the big things too that they'll talk about, especially on the moving towards 1.0, is like whatever's next. What are the next star systems? Like I think that's the next big thing that they can talk about.
So based on what we know so far, I think Nyx is going to be the third system.
Well, and that would make sense.
Levski has been worked on. We've seen some art of Levski, like all the new stuff there and stuff like that. So I think Levski's next.
They're like, oh yeah, we went back and updated Levski. Because I know, like like when the hospitals came in, they're like, oh, we added the Levski hospital and stuff. So
yeah, that's why I think it's gonna be the third system, followed by Magnus, then Terra.
I definitely think there's like
Terra's supposed to be huge.
Yeah, I think it's gonna take a while to get Terra. Like I think they probably got a good start on it, but I don't think they've fleshed it out as much as other planets. And I think, I mean, we were talking earlier about Squadron 42 assets. Like there's some of those like Magnus and even maybe Odin they've been working on, because it's going to be in that game. Like there's certain star systems that have already been mapped out, and they have to know what it's going to look like, even if it's like a past version, because Squadron 42 set before Star Citizen.
For the PU.
And so, yeah, for the PU. And so, like, even if it's a past version, like, it shouldn't be, it's obviously a little bit of a redirect, and they have to redesign what it looks like, but it's already set up and how it looks and all that stuff, so they can just port that over like they're talking about them doing with other things. And hopefully it's just adding another server or adding a couple servers, and then they've got a couple more systems, and they can hopefully start rolling those out faster. And I feel like, I don't know, everybody kind of has speculation of how many star systems and all that stuff is going to come out in 1.0, and I don't know, I feel like 5 is a good number, like at least for the first iteration, like the first, because even 1.0 I think is more like going into beta than it is like the full release. Maybe, I guess that's kind of how I'm thinking of it, because I think it's like, all right, we've got the systems locked down, we've got the core gameplay locked down, we've got the systems that we want to start with the storyline that we can kind of implement right away, and then we want people to try out the systems and break them for us and figure out what we need to, how we can more readily stabilize the network code and all that stuff. Like that's going to be their, like that's going to be 1.0 is them like really locking it down and doing the optimizations and all that stuff. That's like kind of after 1.0, but getting there, there's going to be like that baseline. I think getting those first few star systems that they've kind of already locked down and know what they look like is really going to be their focus, and then they can expand out and do because they've been working on that tech as well. Like they've got the tech to kind of either procedurally generate, but then also implement those like customized cities and stuff. Because even like Pyro, they've talked about that, like the cities they could lay out pretty easily because they have these tools that just, all right, here's a town center, and we put it here, and then it can grow easily from around there. They place the little set decoration stuff a lot easier than before. So I think it's going to go a lot faster going forward.
Yeah, I definitely see us seeing more about Planetary Tech V5 and like some of the new tools that they've probably going to be working with, and how much faster they can build a planet.
I definitely think that's like they've been working on all that stuff, and it's nice, and I think it's good that it's like one team that's in charge of that. They don't have to worry about all the other stuff. They can just focus on getting that stuff done. I think they're finalizing and getting Pyro up to par and all that stuff, but then they can easily just move to the next one. And then, like I said, Nyx should definitely be the third one because there's not much to Nyx. Like it's just Delamar and Levski and that's
one
it
other
for
planet.
Like, one other planet, but there's not even a landing zone or anything on that planet. So it's so it's pretty easy. Not easy. Not going to say easy, but it's pretty lightweight compared to some of the other star systems.
Yeah, I can easily see Delamar or the Nyx system Q2 next year.
Yeah.
And then
if they get server meshing and stuff in, then they just turn it on, basically.
Yeah. And then after that, I think like once we get Nyx in is when they can really start pumping out. Like if we get Nyx next year, like Q2, let's say, I think we'll get Magnus Q1 the following year and Terra Q4 the same year. So we'll get two systems in 1 year. Right. And then from there, we'll probably be like, hey, this next year, 2027, we're going to add like 5 more systems. You know?
Yeah. It would be nice if they could do safe system earlier, but yeah, I think it does make sense that they're...
I think we're going to get to a point, especially around 2026, 2027, where every quarterly patch will introduce a new system.
Yeah, I definitely think they can push them out faster, like not push them out, but just like get them going faster. So
that would definitely be pretty cool. Because like what they're going to do is they're going to build up that bank of planets. It's like it could be done, like Terra and Magnus could be done right now. We don't know. Yeah. And then they're going to keep building systems, and then they could like, here's these 4 while they're working on a whole different 4, and they still have like 8 in the bank. So they still got 2 years worth of planets while they're working on the next planets for 2 years from now. Yeah, and they could do that. And then they have another team that can update the planets from before with new tech as it's added.
Yeah, I definitely think they've got I think the last few years have been really good for like, they're really locking in the tools that they have. They're really like iterating and building out these things, getting those core functionalities that they have wanted and talked about. Like for as much as we talk about, it's been 12 years, but like they really locked down like the pillars of the game. And now they can push it out a lot faster because they've got it. They know the direction. They know they have the tools because they've been building the tools for the 12 years. But now they can just knock it out pretty fast because they've got the tools to do the back end work and all that stuff. So and then it's just down to like getting to the point where we can optimize stuff to play on more computers and just run more smoothly, and then getting the missions updated and getting those functionalities in the game and making it a full-fledged MMO game.
Yeah. I mean, I remember they were joking about like 2 years is the release. And I've always told people like don't look at 2 years down the road as the release. Are you able to play the game now? Are you able to have fun with the game now if the game's released? It's out here, it's a physical thing. But yeah, they got their foundations made. And wow, I know people are going to complain, like, was it within the 12-month and stuff like that. When CIG talked about at CitizenCon, oh, this is the stuff for the next 12 months. We forget a few things with that 12 months. And first thing is CitizenCon. Like for us, it was 2 days. For them, it was 2 weeks or more. It's like that took out their whole month. Their whole month. And, you know, additional, like all the videos and stuff that were made, another month out of that.
Yeah. Well,
and then
they're not doing ISC right now because they're working on the CitizenCon videos.
the team's working on something different. And then you have IEE, which is all the new ship stuff and, you know, the big end of the year. Then they go on vacation for the month of December, basically. So, like, that's your 2 months, you know, there at the end gone. Like, your last 3 months gone for, like, any real work. If Pyro could still release this year, 2024, at least in, like, a heavy PTU state, to where we can get an actual release in January, I would still consider that within the 12 months. Like personally, because that's still a lot. Like go play Star Citizen September last year and look at it just today and how different it is. When 3.23 came out and they had the whole new UI changes, the mini map and, you know, new skybox, all this, all that. But then they had to test what was on the old build without all that. I was like, oh, this looks like crap, and I just didn't play that test because I didn't like how it looked.
Yeah,
it was too different.
They went back to the 322 branch or something like that.
It was so different that I just like I don't really want to play this. Like I like the new stuff. Like everything that they've added, hate it or hate it, because most people hate it. I love it. You know, we had a discussion last night about master modes, and I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to get into it. But master modes has changed. We can't deny master modes has changed the way we do Star Citizen. Even if they fully revamp it, it will still change what's done in the future. New mobi-glass, the maps, just the way the whole game looks has changed so much that it's never going to be the same. The cargo that we just got, you know, the whole cargo system, that's massive. Like, not being able to just I remember back in the day, if you wanted to sell cargo, you would fly in, you would land, you would get out of your seat, kill yourself, and it would automatically store your ship and put you right next to the TDD, and you would just go sell. That doesn't work anymore. Now you got to unload all your boxes manually. I think that's fun as hell. I love doing that. I'm not a big cargo person, but having and it is boring and it is tedious, and I understand, but knowing that I had to unload all that cargo, it's actually a little fun for me. Like when that was in the PTU, I filled an entire C2 with chairs because I could, and you know that's how it is. And with engineering and stuff, you know, like we're super excited for it, but no matter what happens with engineering after 4.0, it's going to change how Star Citizen's played forever.
It's definitely going to change the way people play or view the game even, because I know there's a lot of people that are talking about how, I mean, we even talked earlier in this podcast about how single-seaters and solo flyers are going to have to change the way they play and the way they think about it, and whether that is like, oh, I'm a little more limited on my range from my base where I can do all my engineering, or I have to find a way to fly with other people even if I'm not necessarily in an org, but I still have to fly with other people to get to where I want to go or to do certain activities. Like it is going to change the way people have to play, because they're going to, like I said, they're going to have to find a liberator to fly them to a point where they can go do a certain bounty mission or something like that, or they're going to have to find an Idris that's like, hey, I need a bunch of fighters to come along with me to help out, and it changes the thoughts on like the way the economy works, because you can't go straight from station to station or whatever. You have to go to the distribution centers and move them around there, and then up to the stations or whatever. And it's going to take those smaller ships that we have out there, but people don't utilize a lot, like the Hull A's and the C1s and that stuff. It's going to build that usefulness for that stuff for those smaller ones that are like 1 or 2 crew, but then it's also, like you say, expands out for us to build on and do those org things in those larger cap ships.
Yeah, because like people nowadays were like, oh, I need to move 20 SCU. I'll take the C2. Just because they like the C2. But now they're going to be like, well, I can, but they're going to have issues.
Right, yeah. Yeah, they're not going to be able to just jump in and fly away. You got to think about your cargo deck master. You're going to have an engineer with you to think about that stuff, or the pilot's going to have to jump out and repair stuff or whatever. And I mean, people have already talked about, not necessarily with the cargo, but ships just sitting in your hangar and getting dirty now but because now we have them out more and that we're not exchanging them as often and stuff, we're actually utilizing the same ship every time and having that out there. That changes it as well. But the cargo, you just have to think about it more and think about who you're taking with you or who you're finding to help you out, or reaching out to other people who you don't even know and saying like, the other day I saw there's a new org that is just like, they just unload your ship. That's all they do. Like, you hire them and they'll come and unload your ship for you, or load and unload. So that's a brilliant way to get another player run economy and gameplay because of this one thing. I don't particularly I wouldn't want to fill up a whole C2 of cargo. That would not be exciting for me. If I could get a hold of this crew and they could come in and load it for me, and even think about like how it should be loaded and stuff, like that's way more exciting for me, because then I get a little more interaction. It's a little bit of like, everybody jokes about like, oh, that's just more RP or whatever, but like, I'm okay with that. And you can still be your solo player, but yeah, you have to talk to a real human being, but you don't have to do the things, because there are other people that are willing to do that for you.
Yeah, even like with engineering coming online, like, hey, you need an engineer, hire me.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff that's coming, and like from the player standpoint, that's pretty cool.
It's definitely an exciting time. Hope to hear a lot about this stuff at CitizenCon, and I think it's going to be a good couple of days, very informative. I mean, what we learned last year was amazing, and we have a majority of that stuff in the game. Like, it's not like past
60%.
Yeah, it's not like past CitizenCons where it's like, hey, we're introducing the sandworm, and where's the sandworm?
Although I heard rumor that sandworm might be coming.
Well, and that means it's on Daymar because of the javelin thing.
Yeah,
because when they showed it was by the javelin wreck.
Oh, yeah, pretty cool.
Ooh, the Daymar rally with the sandworm.
Yeah,
I can only imagine how that's
really make our security team work.
Oh God, yeah.
One team is like, I got pirates on me, and one team's just yelling, "Fucking worm, worm!"
Yep. So there's definitely a lot to look forward to.
All I'm going to ask from CIG, and this is a genuine ask from me to you: if you add the worm to the game, and you add the worm as an emote,
just more emotes in general, but yes, the worm would be.
Or emotes in general. Give us like.
Yes. Well,
any other predictions you got?
You kind of brought it up a little bit, our discussion last night. I think they will probably expand on flight model.
Yes.
I think they'll flesh it out, like explain like, all right, this is like a long-term goal. Well, and especially, I mean, we talked about also that the quantum boost thing, it hasn't even been introduced yet. So there's a part of the flight model that's not even in there yet. So I don't know if it's going to be a whole panel, but I think they'll definitely cover like the changes that they're making to master modes, because they've already kind of highlighted like, yeah, we know there's some things that we need to tweak. What the full functionality is going to look like, what the flight model fully realized looks like, because master modes, as much as I hate it, is a tier 0, and so there is things that they're adding on top of it to expand it and change it. And then I think they've kind of briefly talked about it and how it's coming into like maybe 4.0 or so, but like the armor and shield changes and all that stuff with weapons, because with engineering, they are introducing like an armor thing that there's different levels, because to get to the power plant, to start shooting the power plant, you have to get through the shields and the armor. So they are introducing that to the game at around the same time,
which is kind of cool.
It'll be interesting to see how they visualize that, I guess, like how that's gonna all play together. And then again, is this a tier 0, tier 1, or is this like, because we also have Maelstrom coming eventually, so how is that going to play into it as well? We've got all these systems that are like separate, and we've got the tier 0 implementations in the game, but then like, how does this one tie in? How does this move over? Like, I think there's still a lot of that stuff that we need to see, and I think hopefully they will like cover a lot of that stuff in these 2 days coming up.
Last thing of note, MO Esports at CitizenCon, they had their own like little stage and everything. This year, they have their own arena. They're doing it at a whole separate location within walking distance of the original thing. Tickets still are available right now. However, VIP tickets are sold out. They will have tickets for sale at the event of the day, which is Sunday, 6 to midnight, I believe is the times. Definitely go check it out. They're going to have a meet and greet with some of the devs, a meet and greet with Chris Roberts and his wife. They're going to have the Fight or Flight tournament. They're going to have some expedition races and a trophy. I got to see the trophy. It looks cool as
Yeah.
and apparently it weighs like 20 pounds.
Oh, damn.
So it's hefty, and it's going to be a trophy presentation by Chris Roberts himself. So be sure you guys check out the Fight or Flight atmosphere. They will be streaming it on, I'm pretty sure, at least the Atmo Esports channel, potentially the Star Citizen channel, as well as at the event. Be sure you get your tickets. You do get free drink. They have merch. They have all sorts of stuff. Really cool. It'll be a good thing. Just want to say best of luck to all the finalists in the event.
Absolutely.
Good luck. But yeah, definitely give that a check and a watch. If you're not able to attend, at least watch it. Check out the shirts. Shirts are really cool. They're based on the designs from the posters, and so definitely look into it.
Yeah, it was definitely a cool setup last year. I didn't have time, unfortunately, to even go watch them do it. I talked to the guys, but while they were there, but didn't even get to watch the thing go on last year. But it's definitely cool. Like it's a cool opportunity that they get to show off at CitizenCon, and like we're excited to always be partners with Atmo and be a big part of that. So, yeah, it's definitely cool to watch and it'll be interesting to see how different it is this year versus last year with the flight changes. Like obviously the pilots had to take a year to even to get used to fighting again and all that stuff. So we'll see how that plays out and what that entails, what that showcases about the flight mod.
Pretty cool event. Can't wait to see what happens. So that's it for predictions and ideas for CitizenCon. I think it's time to do the final segment.
Yes, it is.
So just like every episode, we have a list of ships. This contains every ship that's in the game, whether it's released, unreleased, or even unpurchasable, as we saw with the Bengal. So far, we have always gotten the smallest ships and the largest ships. So something in the middle will be wonderful today. So we're going to spin it. We're going to talk about the ship. We're going to discuss how we would use the ship, if the ship is good for us and for the org. And then at the very end, we'll give it a rating based on our likings and how well it would fit into the org. Now, ours are completely opinion-based. If we give it a 10, doesn't mean it's the best ship in the game. If we give it a 1, doesn't mean it's the worst ship in the game. We just don't like it. All right. I've been shuffling for the last 10 minutes, by the way. It's nonstop clicking the shuffle button. So it's shuffled. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and spin and see what ship we get. Something in the medium class, please. And it's the Valkyrie Anvil dropship. You look so confused there, Bob. No, not the Liberator Valkyrie,
and not
the Valkyrie team that we used to have either. This is the actual Anvil ship.
We're as bad as Sig with the naming. That's definitely a good one.
Well, it's definitely a good ship that we actually use quite a bit.
I was gonna say that's probably one of our main heavily used ships. That probably Carrick and C2 are probably a little higher, maybe, but Valkyrie is definitely up there. Any of our ops, any of our ground ops, we're definitely jumping in the Valkyrie. It's just I guess we can go through
so we'll go through it. So I'm going to tell you what the Valkyrie is right now, as of today, 3.23. Or 3.24.1. The nose guns are 2 size 3s, and then there are size 3 wing remote guns. You have the man-topped, which is size 2, which is 2 size 3s, and the bottom, which is 2 size 3s, and then you have the door gunners, which are each a size 1. You have 2 size 2 shields, 2 size 2 power plants, 2 size 2 coolers, and a size 2 quantum drive. However, in an upcoming patch, the Valkyrie will receive a boost of 4 size 2 shields, and those size 3 remote wing guns will be upgraded to a 1 size 4 wing gun. So definitely a big noticeable boost for the Valkyrie, going from the very small but very respectable 12,000 average shield HP to 24,000 shield HP.
Well, and you kind of hinted at this or talked about this, but I just want to go back and talk about the ship, the overall, what the ship is. Like I said, it's a heavy drop ship, troop transport. So you're going to have 20 seats for your people that you're dropping off, multiple exits that they can jump out of. There's the ramp at the back. There's 2 side doors that they can exit from. It's just an overall awesome, like heavy drop ship that you can get a whole bunch of people in real fast. It's tanky, so you're going to be able to take a lot of gunfire when you're dropping in. You can also drop a couple vehicles. We've at least fit a couple of the smaller vehicles, and then or like an Ursa or something. But you've got that ability to throw some vehicles in, so you're not just walking on the ground, walking across the ground, and you'll have a little bit of firepower going back. So yeah, it's just a great ship. Like I said, it's got all those guns, and they're going to be upgrading a little bit. So definitely an improvement.
Definitely a nice improvement for the ship. I think it's probably the best drop ship we have in game as of right now, because the Legionnaire is not in game yet. I'm looking forward to that drop ship, but this one's good. It gives you the option of, as you said, the vehicle. There is also a cargo grid on it. You can carry some cargo.
Well, the turret
Lots of
placement is
firepower
great on it.
Perfect turret placements. There's one in the center top, center bottom. You have the wings, which are on the far extended points, and they have a full degree of motion. The door guns on the side are welcome addition. Even being size 1, typically when I use it, I switch those out for a laser gun instead of ballistics. Everything's laser on it, so you have infinite ammo. And the fact that the pilot has guns themselves is pretty cool.
It's a great overall ship. Like, I don't personally fly it as much or very often, but I do like it when we do pull it out, because it is great. I like sitting in the top turret, covering our top, even though the one bad thing about that turret is that sometimes I can't see because there's a weird glow on the glass in it. But that is my favorite spot to sit, despite that limitation. But yeah, you can just...
It's got habitation. It's got beds for the crew. Yeah. It's got a toilet. It's got a little kitchenette thing.
Although
some couches.
It's going to be interesting and highlight getting engineering in with the Valkyrie coming up. And we've discussed it before about how the habitation is not disconnected from the cargo bay, which will be vented the minute it opens. Don't be sleeping in bed and during a mission, because you'll lose some oxygen. The only person that's separated is the pilot.
Correct.
From the cargo bay.
Or the guy in the bathroom. And the bathroom's at a door.
True. I don't know if I would want to be stuck in the toilet while the rest of the
imagine you're just taking it. And you just, hey, don't open the door. We just vented everything.
Yeah, that wouldn't be the best. But so how do you feel about personally first, I guess?
Yeah, so personally, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Because, as you mentioned, the habitation area is not separated from the cargo area, so that would be nice to have. Even if they just put glass there and a hatch on the ladder. That's all they got to do. Simple fix.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, I'd probably put it up at an 8 as well. Because, yeah, like I said, I don't fly it very often, but I do always enjoy when we pull it out and get to work with it. And like I said, I have my favorite spot in it. But yeah, like you said, there's definitely some improvements that they can make, and you wouldn't think they would be too tough to implement, but I definitely think they are important, especially now with the life support coming online. It's going to be kind of necessary. I mean, unless you strictly only use it on planet side, then you wouldn't have to worry about it too much. But I wouldn't want to have to worry about it if I was out in space and side doors needed to be opened or something like that. You'd definitely want to have that a little more separation than what it has now. But yeah, I think overall, and like you said, you can switch out the guns and have lasers on there. But yeah, it's good, just a good overall ship and tanky.
So for org wise, at Quantum Jump Medical, we have a list of ships that are the definitive ships for the org. These ships are the ones that we have chosen, like, this is going to be the main medical ship, this is going to be the drop ship, this is going to be the main cargo ship. We have that list, and the Valkyrie's on that list as our main large drop ship. So the org wise, it's a 10, an easy 10. When it comes down to the engineering part, and it's something that we're going to have to train our members to remember to do, is before you open the door, make sure you say, hey, helmet check, then you open the door, because that's going to be a big thing. And that just doesn't just stop at the Valkyrie. That's every single vehicle that's going to come in games. Hey, helmet check. And then, so other than that, I'm going to easily give it a 10.
I totally agree with you. I think, everything we do especially with our ground assaults and going in into say a distro center or a bunker or whatever. Like Valkyrie really is the best option for us right now. Again, we can throw a couple vehicles in there. We can have a pretty big crew with us, and we can just go in full force, and it's just perfect for our needs. For as a medium-sized org, it's like just the right for us for what we do, especially when we're going into those ground centers and rescuing people or clearing things out. It's just the right ship for us, and it's one of our top ships, and definitely deserves a 10.
Like I said, this one's on our list as our drop ship. Legionnaire is another one, which hopefully we get soon. But that one just holds people, and that'll be a good people dropper. But yeah, I've always loved the Valkyrie, and I really wish I had gotten the special edition one, the Liberator one. Not the Liberator ship, the Liberator variant of the Valkyrie. And no, not the Valkyrie. That's
I hate their naming schemes. Are we talking about Quantum or Quanta?
Or Quantanium.
Or Quantanium.
They're just as bad as us, man. We got
Atlas
jump in every
used multiple times.
Yeah. Like we have jump in a lot of our naming schemes. We have the jump gate. We have the jump, quantum jump. But like we're not better. But
No.
at least ours is not named after one individual like ship, and then another ship that's completely different. Yeah, I wish I got that Liberator variant because that's a really cool like bronzy color on it. But yeah, definitely one of my favorite ships. I remember doing missions in it, and I was like, man, this ship is cool. I need to get one. I have one now. I have a Valkyrie.
It's just a good all-around ship, and I mean, I've even see people just taking it out for missions and stuff, and because you can throw a bunch of stuff in the back, you can fly in pretty easy. It's got those defenses and heavy armor and stuff, and so yeah.
Only complaint, and now that I just thought about this, I might have to change my scores. The only complaint I have is the weapon racks between the seats never work. Well, CIG fixed the weapon racks between the seats, or the score goes down.
Although that's much like a lot of things, needs to be updated.
Yeah, that's going to be it for this one of the Medbay podcast. Thank you, Bob, for hosting it again, as always.
Absolutely.
We're definitely going to be talking about CitizenCon after it's over. We're probably going to do an episode after that, and be sure you check out our Jumpgate newsletter that happens every month. There's next issue after CitizenCon is all going to be CitizenCon related, I'm guessing. So yeah, definitely stay tuned for that. We got another issue of that coming out here in the next couple of days.
That's all for this one.